Alright. Hello, good people of YouTube. I am absolutely ecstatic that you've decided to join me once again for a look into the John Johson Chronicles. If this is your first time here, I do strongly suggest checking out the first part. It's on my channel. But as a quick recap, for anybody who has not checked that out and wants to stay here first, the first part pretty much went over the origins of this short story. Me and my friends wrote in 2014, 2015. We were in high school. We took turns writing. It was a bit of a disaster. I'm not even going to bother trying to do a synopsis of what happened in the first part because there really is no plot. It's kind of just a giant parody. You're not missing anything by jumping in here. However, I do strongly suggest you start with the first part. But with that aside, a couple more things to note. A couple of personal friends made some suggestions to me for this second part in terms of how I narrate. For one, I put side notes at the bottom of some of the paragraphs in the first video. I'm not going to be talking about those out loud anymore. I'm just going to leave them written, and you can feel free to read them. They'll contain explanations and whatnot for references and stuff that are in the story. The second thing is I'm going to not mention if I have to do any cuts or anything. I'm going to keep all that stuff behind the scenes, and I'm going to try to have as smooth of a reading process as possible. So with that out of the way, I think it is time to go into the John Johson Chronicles Part 2. I'm going to try to click this time instead of use a space bar. Okay, here we go. Chapter 4, To Go Medieval. It was in this moment that JJ was teleported back in time, to medieval times. Not hundreds of years ago, just 14 years back, to the center stage for the Medieval Times show. JJ was clad in brilliantly synthetic armor from head to toe. His helmet looked like one of those tins that people bring their sandwiches to lunch in. JJ, suddenly filled with courage, decided to give the good people watching him the show of their lives. Of their lives. He squatted down like a set quarterback and grunted very loudly. The audience gasped as JJ charged at the current lead of the mock duel occurring. JJ pulled out the pitcher of yellow liquid, still in his pocket, and again hurled it. It drilled Sir Uthgerd in the head, and Sir Kumar jumped off the stage and ran away like a little child. JJ, known specifically by his mother for his lack of mercy, jumped high into the air, grabbed onto the highest hanging chandelier, and began rocking it back and forth. Within seconds, the foundation for the chandelier was ripped out, taking the entire roof down with it. The claps of the Medieval Times show stage crushed everyone underneath, performers and audience alike. "Nehoimyoy!" screamed JJ. I apologize for that, I'm sorry. Channeling the inner Doodle Bob within himself. Everyone was dead but him, and the Spain-Frickin' Royal Army knew it. The Spain-Frickin' Royal Army was furious. They were well known for being conspirators regarding time travelers, and knew immediately that JJ was one. Distraught, Sergeant Captain Hernandez, General of the Army, sent out his finest weapon to annihilate JJ promptly. JJ walked out onto the streets of 2001 Detroit, only to face his most perilous enemy. It was the real Doodle Bob. D-Bob was violently ululating as he charged at JJ, arms abroad. JJ screamed in terror and ran full speed into the nearest salad works with no more crap to lose. Thinking he was finally safe, we walked up to the counter to buy some salad. The clerk said there was no more salad. How could there be no more salad? JJ thought to himself. He did a double take of the clerk and realized the clerk was actually Doodle Bob the whole time. JJ ripped off his right arm, held it with his left arm, and used it to punch Doodle Bob. He then stuck it back on. His foe was vanquished. JJ left Salad Works. Okay. Chapter 5, Hit the Underground. As JJ re-entered the streets of 2002 Nashville, he was as confident as ever. His arm was rapidly fusing back onto his torso, and he had no idea why. I don't actually remember this word, we'll just say this was happening. JJ spotted a group of 420 weed machines getting down and dirty near a lamppost. JJ decided to join them. He waited until exactly 4:20 a.m. Then he blazed it. And oh boy, did he blaze it. JJ went on the craziest trip in all of his days. All he saw was toasters. Mother effing toasters. Every person, building, road sign, god danged toasters. And JJ was a lone piece of untoasted bread. JJ started rapidly oscillating, sucking into the nearest toaster. To JJ, it felt as if someone had burped right into the direct vicinity of his earlobe in preparation for implanting Gerard the Hexapus, a six-legged octopus, into his brain. To note, this whole time, this is occurring, F the Police Straight Out the Underground is playing loudly in the background. With Gerard in control, JJ noticed his limbs bending uncontrollably, similar in fashion to an octopus. He was an octopus. What was an octopus doing on land? He decided he needed to be in the water. So now he's in the ocean, swimming with all the other fishes. Chapter 6. No longer in the underground. JJ's high abruptly ended, and he found himself lying in a roadside ditch back in 2015. How did he know the year was back to normal? By the power of narwhals, that's how. That's right, capital N. Anyway, JJ jumped up and realized he needed to buy DirecTV quickly. Luckily, he had his lucky rabbit's foot to trade. He took off at a sprint, eye patch blowing in the wind, for the closest general store / Walmart. Before you, yes you big buffoon you, knew it, he found a mega Walmart, which had everything from Doritos to Mountain Dew to lawnmowers to submarines and even to a whole section dedicated to the ripped out 37th pages of every single book from the local library. JJ was in paradise. He hung out at the indoor water park attached to the mega Walmart, where he met none other than the recently elected president. I'm not going to read that. AKA Jeff. Jeff didn't have a last name, but he said, by all things holy, he would get one someday. After waiting for an interviewer to talk to Jeff and hearing him say, I'm not going to read that also, to the interviewer, Jeff and JJ spent the rest of the day at the water park. As the sunset grew closer, JJ and Jeff both were living the mediocre life, relaxing on cheap, barely legal beach chairs next to the kiddie pool. JJ casually turned to Jeff and said, You know what, Jeff? I've been thinking. Yeah? Asked Jeff. Yeah, said JJ. I think I know what your last name should be, Jeff, JJ said. Goldberg, JJ shouted. Jeff stood up from his chair, his face twisted with rage, and curb-stomped JJ, breaking his beach chair. Don't ever say that to me again! Jeff snarled at JJ as he stomped away to his super-duper stretched limo, the length of 2 football fields, that was parked 5 feet away, floored it, and crashed the limo within seconds on the nearby water slide. The limo burst into flames spontaneously. Jeff's body rolled out of the limo like a breakfast sausage, taking out bystanders as he went. As if this wasn't bad enough, Jeff was on fire because he was allergic to water, not because the limo was on fire. Suddenly, everyone realized that the destroyed slide actually was covered in kerosene, not water. However, they noticed a moment too late, as Jeff's flames lit up all the people he rolled into and turned them into flaming rolling sausages just like him. Before you knew it, the entire Mega Walmart was on fire. Luckily, the Mega Walmart had a fire engine aisle. Unfortunately, the same person who put kerosene, now spelt wrong, on the water slide had also put kerosene in the fire engines. JJ, flipping a shite, pole vaulted out of the Walmart, Yankee Doodle blaring in his ears. Alright, we have actually a partial chapter here, and we're going to actually wrap up after this, I think. Chapter 6.5, Humble Beginnings. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I am here today, out of the kindness of my own heart, to tell you the story of how JJ came to be. Believe it or not, our heroic hero comes from a family with a past as dark as a sunburnt Oreo. It began back in the rocking 70s. 70s as in the 1670s, of course. Sir Robert von Robert Johson was the most well-known knight in all of Backwash Shire. He was a drunk, an anti-hero, a womanizer, and overall, he was a really big doo-doo bag. Robert, or Robbie the Killer, as he had others call him, had but one goal. That goal was to marry, impregnate, and abandon every woman on the planet. I apologize for that line. I did want to keep it in, though. Unfortunately, for Robbie the Killer, karma is a biatch, and after his first marriage and child, Robbie was hit by a UFO going 5 miles over the speed limit. His wife, now a widow, raised the child as Robbie the Killer II, the second. She, by all means, wanted her son to be as wonderful a man as her husband was. So basically, Junior turned out to be a doo-doo bag too. The family ran for generations, producing prick after scrub, and in 1946, something god-dang magical happened. Jeremiah Bruce Johnson was born. Jeremiah is the famous father of JJ himself, and was a bath salts addict since the tender age of redacted. What's the moral of the story? JJ's family tree is absolutely disgusting. Let's not get into his mother's side just yet. And I clicked, and there's nothing left. So, I think that's a good place to stop again. I hope you all enjoyed. Again, there will be another part. There's going to be many more parts. I hope you're all not too appalled by this story yet. I appreciate you sticking around, and I hope my narration is pretty good. I know the story is. We're going to get into who the actual true narrator of this story is supposed to be soon enough. We will see. But I will do for now. So, thank you, everybody. Stick around for the next part.